Well, I mean, he was either going to waive or challenge extradition. There's a pretty clear-cut process. If he files his petition for habeas corpus, we're in the process now of securing a governor's warrant from the state of New York, and we'll be prepared when the judge schedules the hearing to do what's necessary to get him back to New York.
Sir, can you explain the timeline? Can you explain the timeline?
The judge gave 14 days for the defendant to file a petition for habeas corpus challenging the extradition, and he gave us 30 days for us to procure a governor's warrant from New York, which is the legal document necessary to effectuate the extradition.
What's the strategy for waiving your extradition? Is there one?
Well, it simply gets the inevitable started sooner. I mean, it is, we're going to do what's necessary to get the governor's warrant, and we're working, with the New York City Police Department and Manhattan DA's office, and we're going to get the defendant up there so they can prosecute him on their charges. So waiving, accelerates that process. Contesting it, just provides more hoops for law enforcement and prosecutors to jump through. But we're happy to do that.
Were you disappointed in this process? Were you expecting this? Was this a surprise?
People contest extradition all the time, even on, we have people who contest it on retail thefts, and we get this type of paperwork. Yes, sir.
Say he'll be in New York in 30 to 45 days?
That depends on a lot of factors, but that's a reasonable estimate to anticipate if the judge schedules a hearing within 30 days. Our understanding is that New York's going to be able to retrieve him very quickly.
If he had not waived, were you prepared to hold the Blair County charges like in abeyance, or what the legal term is?
The Blair County charges are still active. We intend on prosecuting them, but we also intend on cooperating with the New York City Police Department and the Manhattan DA's office. We've already indicated to them that we believe their charges take precedent, and we'll do what's necessary to accommodate their prosecution first. But that doesn't mean we're getting rid of our charges.
Do you expect any other charges?
In the hearing, when bail was being discussed, you brought up the same points that were brought up last night. There's the Faraday bags, the cash that was found, and things that it seemed like they amounted to a significant flight risk. The defense attorney today said that the court is obligated to provide bail regardless of what the flight risk is, if the case is not one that is punishable by life without parole. Your defense, or your point after that, was that besides being a flight risk, the court is allowed to deny bail in case the person is still a danger to society. Is there anything that's found that could be, pointing towards the fact that he might be targeting other people, or why argue that he was still a danger to society?
So I'm not going to comment on the ongoing investigation into this defendant, but I will say anyone charged with criminal homicide is a danger to society. I would make that argument in any case where someone was charged with a significant assault, and there is no more significant assault than homicide. What the defense attorney said is simply the judge was permitted to give bail if the judge chose to. The judge was also permitted and authorized under the Constitution to deny bail, as he chose to do, based on the factors that the judge had available. Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure. Yes, ma'am.
Do you expect other charges in this case?
Again, I'm not going to comment on the ongoing investigation. I know that the Altoona Police Department has and will continue to diligently investigate it. I was privileged to be able to work, First Assistant Smith and I, with the Manhattan prosecutors and the New York City Police Department, the Pennsylvania State Police, and all the other law enforcement entities. So they're all very aggressively and diligently investigating this, but I'm not going to speculate on what might come in the future.
In terms of the timeline, what are you expecting the defense to do in the next 14 days? What is the argument they're supposed to present?
Well, they have 14 days to file a petition for habeas corpus, and that would simply be a document challenging the Commonwealth's ability to prove that the defendant is the person that the state of New York has issued the arrest warrant for.
But that has nothing to do with the ability to go, be able to go out on bail, to be free on bail in the meantime. So for now, I mean, how much long is the bail denied denied all the way until trial?
Well, this defendant now has two dockets in Blair County. One docket will go away once he is extradited, and that is his fugitive from justice charge. And the judge denied bail on that until, obviously, the judge makes a ruling on any defense motions, at which time we anticipate the state of New York will be able to collect the defendant. The other local charges, the encounter between the Altoona Police Department and the defendant has been denied bail on that case as well, which the Pennsylvania Constitution provides for when the judge finds it appropriate under the circumstances.
So your main goal right now is to have him extradited to New York? That's what you're working toward?
Our primary focus is to cooperate with the New York City Police Department and Manhattan District Attorney's Office so this defendant can be prosecuted for his New York homicide charge, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Can you comment on the way he's right now detained in jail? Like, is he staying by himself? What is the type of security he has around?
I defer to the Department of Corrections or whatever institution someone's housed in. I cannot comment on his specific circumstances. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry if this was already asked. I kind of missed the top, but what stage are you at in securing a governor's warrant? And how long do you expect extradition to take once it's secured?
So we've begun that process. I will say the judge afforded the defense 14 days to file their petition. So any hearing the judge schedules on that petition would have to be after that deadline has run. So we'll be ready anytime after that period. He gave us 30 days. I anticipate we should be able to get that sooner than 30 days.
Were you surprised that he got the defense attorney as of last night? He had no attorney. He was figuring out whether he wanted somebody to be hired or to use public defender. What was that process in terms of how it affects you?
It doesn't affect us at all. It's very people secure attorneys all the time, even when they're arrested at 2 o'clock in the morning. So this is just a very normal procedure in criminal prosecution.
A very quick question. Who are the people in the jury box?
I believe there were courthouse employees from other departments who were interested in the proceeding.
Is it normal for charges presented against somebody who's been charged with murder here in Pennsylvania to have 6 police officers surrounding them, or is he treated like a higher risk by the sheriff's office?
I can't speak to how the sheriff and his deputies assess risks for inmates. I will say that we've certainly prosecuted a number of homicide cases here in Blair County where there's been that level of security or more, so that was not surprising to see.
Will his Blair County case stay on hold pending? Because he's got that preliminary hearing scheduled on December 23rd.
That's our intention, and with the way that's scheduled in light of the judge's 14-day period for the defense to file motions, I anticipate we would likely be able to achieve that preliminary hearing at least before we have the extradition hearing.
So you'll go forward with it then?
Yeah, we don't intend on getting rid of the charges. We acknowledge that the New York City Police Department and Manhattan District Attorney's Office charges should take precedence. They're more serious. We intend to cooperate with them to the best of our ability to facilitate their prosecution of this defendant first, but we don't intend to withdraw our charges.
Is there anything expected between now and that 23rd or the 2 weeks, or is there anything else that is left to be done?
Well, the various agencies will continue their investigations, and we'll certainly be working on securing the governor's warrant, so it'll be a lot of phone calls and paperwork.
Excuse me. You can just face them one. I don't know if this was asked before, but it was hard not to notice his demeanor a little bit. He was smiling, chuckling. Last night he was a little outspoken and animated during the proceedings. Today he also spoke out of turn. Is that surprising to see as a DA for a case this significant?
No, I'm not going to comment on a defendant's demeanor. That's something personal to them, and it's their prerogative to act how they act in court.
I just want to clarify a bit about the time. So then, essentially, since these things are happening parallel, the original Blair County case keeps going at its normal pace up until he's extradited, and the notices get paused at that point, right? And then restarted whenever the New York case is over?
Our intention is to just place a detainer on him once we secure extradition and send him to New York. We do not intend to delay this defendant's extradition to New York And we certainly, and we've indicated this to New York, their prosecution should take precedence, and then ours will follow.
Can you explain in layman's terms exactly what the process looks like to obtain a governor's warrant?
So certainly, our office will communicate with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and each of us communicate with our respective state-level governments, and it's the state-level governments that work with each other, execute the governor's warrant, which sometimes can take, approximately 30 days, plus or minus a little bit. I will say that those wheels have already started moving in this case, so I'm hopeful we can get that accomplished quickly.
So what is your timeline, best case scenario?
Well, I'm not going to, I'm hopeful we can accomplish it quicker than normal, but I'm not going to speak for the state of Pennsylvania or the state of New York in terms of how fast they turn that around, but I can say that both our office and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office are already in the process of working on that.
And have you spoken with Governor Shapiro yet?
I spoke with him last night.
Anything that you can share about what that conversation was?
I'm not going to speak, just small talk.
Have you been contacted by any other counties in Pennsylvania where there are investigations going on into his activities?
We've not talked to any other counties in Pennsylvania.
Would you say it's fair to say that the extradition will likely not happen this year, or do you think it could possibly?
I'm not going to comment on that because it's the judge who's going to schedule the hearing, and we'll be ready for the hearing when the judge schedules it.
Also, do you have a response to threats that were made towards the Altoona Police Department and all that throughout this process over the last 24 hours?
We certainly take threats towards anyone very seriously. Certainly, everyone has to do their job. I think the governor in his remarks addressed that very well last night. But even if we disagree with people, violence or threats are not the answer. And certainly, threatening, the police or anyone just carrying out the duties of their job is not acceptable.
Are you aware of the McDonald's employees receiving threats because you called the police?
I'm aware of allegations that we're investigating.
And just also a follow-up, there's been threats towards the McDonald's and employees, and I'm sure you know all of that. Do you have any response there?
I'm not going to comment on pending investigations.
The reference in the hearing to something that happened in chambers, was that entirely about the defense attorney wanting private time to talk to the defendant, or was it, am I understanding that correctly, or was
Yes.
it more than that?
No, it was a request by the defense attorney for there to be time for him to speak with his client, which is certainly not something that the district attorney's office would ever interfere with.
Here or in SCI Huntington?
They were discussing with the judge where to accomplish that, and I'm not sure where that will occur. But certainly the defendant has a right to consult with his counsel, and we would never stand in the way of that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.